March 17, 2025. In the frozen wasteland of Svalbard, Norway, 650 miles from the North Pole, the impossible was about to unfold. NATO's most classified Arctic research facility, Station Polaris, worth $3.2 billion and housing 47 of the alliance's top military scientists, had gone silent at 0347 hours. What the world didn't know was that 36 elite Russian Spetsnaz commandos had just completed the most audacious military operation since World War II, capturing NATO's secret Arctic base in a lightning assault that took just 23 minutes. But when NATO's rescue mission launched 18 hours later, what followed would become the most costly special operations disaster in modern military history. How did Russian forces penetrate the world's most secure Arctic facility? What made NATO's response so catastrophic? Join me in discovering the truth behind the rescue mission that cost everything. March 16, 2025, 21:30 hours. Station Polaris sat like a technological fortress on the barren landscape of Svalbard, its modular structures connected by heated tunnels that snaked across the permafrost. The facility, officially designated as an Arctic Climate Research Station, was actually NATO's most advanced electronic warfare and satellite intelligence hub, monitoring Russian military communications across the entire Arctic region. The base housed $847 million in quantum computing equipment, advanced signal intelligence arrays capable of intercepting communications from 2,000 miles away, and prototype directed energy weapons designed for Arctic warfare. Its 47 personnel included 12 NSA cryptographers, 8 British GCHQ analysts, 15 Norwegian intelligence specialists, and 12 U.S. Space Force technicians operating classified satellite systems. Unknown to NATO commanders, Russian military intelligence had been planning Operation Arctic Wolf for 8 months. Satellite imagery, intercepted communications, and intelligence from a compromised Norwegian contractor had provided Moscow with complete blueprints of Station Polaris and its defensive capabilities. March 17, 2025, 0324 hours. 36 Spetsnaz commandos from the 45th Guards Special Purpose Regiment approached Station Polaris through a blizzard that provided perfect concealment. Led by Colonel Viktor Petrov, these elite soldiers had trained for Arctic warfare in conditions that would kill ordinary troops within hours. Each commando carried specialized equipment worth $180,000. Arctic warfare suits with integrated heating systems, AK-12 assault rifles modified for extreme cold, thermal imaging scopes, and breaching charges designed to function at -40 degrees Fahrenheit. Their mission was surgical: capture the facility intact, secure all intelligence materials, and hold the position until extraction. The base's perimeter defenses consisted of motion sensors, thermal cameras, and automated alert systems monitored from the Central Command Center. But the Russian assault exploited a critical vulnerability discovered through months of surveillance. The sensors were calibrated to ignore wildlife, and the commandos' approach signatures had been designed to mimic Arctic foxes moving through the snow. 0347 hours. The assault began with simultaneous breaches at 4 points around the facility's perimeter. Shaped charges, their explosive power precisely calculated to breach the reinforced walls without damaging sensitive equipment inside, detonated in perfect synchronization. The first indication of trouble came when Sergeant Major Eric Hogan, the base's senior security officer, noticed multiple alarms triggering simultaneously across his monitoring station. But before he could sound the general alarm, a flashbang grenade detonated in the command center, temporarily blinding and deafening the 3-person security team. Within 90 seconds, Russian commandos had secured the main communications hub, cutting off all external contact. The base's emergency beacon, designed to automatically alert NATO headquarters in case of attack, was disabled by an electromagnetic pulse device that fried its circuits without affecting other systems. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, the facility's director and a former CIA analyst, was awakened by the sound of automatic weapons fire echoing through the corridors. Her first instinct was to reach for the secure phone that provided direct communication to NATO's Joint Intelligence Center in Norfolk, Virginia. The line was dead. The Russian assault was methodical and professional. Teams of 4 commandos moved through each section of the facility, using non-lethal weapons to subdue personnel while preserving the integrity of classified systems. Tear gas, stun grenades, and taser weapons ensured compliance without causing permanent harm to valuable intelligence assets. By 0410 hours, just 23 minutes after the assault began, Station Polaris was under complete Russian control. All 47 NATO personnel were secured in the facility's main conference room, while Spetsnaz technical specialists began downloading terabytes of classified intelligence from the base's quantum computing systems. March 17, 2025, 1200 hours. NATO's first indication of trouble came when Station Polaris failed to transmit its routine 12-hour status report. Initial attempts to re-establish contact were attributed to equipment failure or severe weather conditions common in the Arctic. But when satellite imagery revealed unusual heat signatures around the facility and the presence of what appeared to be military vehicles, alarm bells began ringing at NATO headquarters in Brussels. General Patricia Hayes, NATO's Deputy Supreme Allied Commander, received the flash briefing that would trigger the alliance's most complex rescue operation since the formation of the organization. Station Polaris has been compromised, reported Colonel James Morrison, NATO's intelligence chief. Satellite imagery confirms hostile forces on site. All 47 personnel are presumed captured. The facility contains our most sensitive Arctic intelligence capabilities. The strategic implications were staggering. Station Polaris housed intelligence on Russian submarine movements, Arctic missile defense systems, and NATO's plans for defending the high north in case of conflict. In Russian hands, this information could compromise decades of intelligence gathering and strategic planning. 1400 hours. Within 2 hours of confirming the base's capture, NATO's most elite special operations units were mobilizing for Operation Arctic Rescue. The mission would involve forces from 4 nations: U.S. Navy, SEALs from SEAL Team 6, British Special Air Service operators, Norwegian Forsvarets Special Commando, and Canadian Joint Task Force 2. The rescue force consisted of 48 operators, each representing the pinnacle of special operations training and experience. Their equipment load was staggering: $2.3 million in specialized Arctic warfare gear, advanced weapons systems, and communications equipment designed to function in extreme cold. The plan was complex, but seemingly foolproof. 2 MV-22 Osprey aircraft would insert the rescue teams at predetermined landing zones 5 kilometers from Station Polaris. The teams would approach on foot, neutralize Russian forces, secure the facility, and extract all NATO personnel within a 4-hour window. Supporting the ground operation would be an AC-130J Ghost Rider gunship providing close air support, 2 F-35A Lightning II fighters maintaining air superiority, and a Norwegian Coast Guard vessel positioned offshore for emergency extraction. The total cost of the rescue operation exceeded $47 million, making it one of the most expensive special operations missions in NATO history. March 18, 2025, 0200 hours. The rescue force launched from Bardufoss Air Station in northern Norway under cover of darkness. The 2 Osprey aircraft, call signs Raven 1 and Raven 2, carried 24 operators each along with specialized equipment for Arctic warfare. Lieutenant Colonel Marcus Reaper Thompson commanded the Joint Task Force, his experience including operations in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Syria. But the Arctic presented unique challenges that would test even the most elite operators. The flight to Svalbard took 3 hours and 20 minutes, with the aircraft flying at extremely low altitude to avoid Russian radar detection. Weather conditions were deteriorating, with wind speeds reaching 45 miles per hour and temperatures dropping to minus 38 degrees Fahrenheit. At 0520 hours. The Ospreys reached their insertion point 5 kilometers southeast of Station Polaris. The landing zones, selected based on satellite imagery, appeared suitable for the aircraft's unique vertical landing capability. But Russian intelligence had anticipated NATO's response. Colonel Petrov had positioned observation teams at all likely insertion points, and the moment the Ospreys began their landing approach, Russian forces were alerted to the incoming rescue attempt. The first Osprey, Raven 1, touched down successfully and began disembarking its 24 operators. But as Raven 2 approached its landing zone 800 meters away, a Russian RPG-29 anti-tank rocket struck its starboard engine. The $72 million aircraft crashed in a fireball visible for miles, killing all 24 Special Operations personnel aboard instantly. NATO's rescue mission had lost half its force before the ground operation even began. 05:25 hours. The surviving 24 operators from Raven 1 found themselves in an impossible situation. Half their force was gone, their extraction aircraft destroyed, and Russian forces now fully alert to their presence. Lieutenant Colonel Thompson made the decision that would haunt him for the rest of his life: continue the mission with reduced forces rather than abort and abandon the 47 NATO personnel held captive at Station Polaris. The approach to the facility became a nightmare of Arctic warfare. Russian snipers, equipped with thermal scopes and positioned in concealed positions around the base, began engaging the NATO operators at ranges exceeding 800 meters. The specialized Arctic camouflage that had cost $15,000 per operator proved inadequate against Russian thermal imaging technology. Within the first hour of the ground assault, 8 NATO operators had been killed or wounded by precise sniper fire. Master Chief Petty Officer David Ghost Rodriguez, leading the SEAL element, reported the deteriorating situation via encrypted communications. Heavy resistance, multiple casualties. Russian forces are well prepared and equipped with superior thermal optics. The AC-130J Ghost Rider gunship, call sign Spectre 1, attempted to provide close air support but was forced to maintain high altitude due to Russian surface-to-air missiles. The aircraft's 30mm cannon and precision-guided munitions proved ineffective against targets concealed within the facility's structures. 06:30 hours. With dawn breaking over the Arctic landscape, the remaining 16 NATO operators reached the perimeter of Station Polaris. The facility, designed to withstand Arctic conditions, had become a fortress that favored the defenders. Russian commandos had prepared defensive positions using the facility's own equipment and supplies. Furniture, computer equipment, and scientific instruments were arranged to create firing positions and obstacles that channeled attacking forces into predetermined kill zones. The final assault began with breaching charges detonating simultaneously at 3 entry points, but Colonel Petrov had anticipated this tactic, and Russian defenders were positioned to engage NATO forces the moment they entered the facility. The close-quarters battle that followed was brutal and decisive. In the confined corridors of Station Polaris, Russian forces held every advantage. They knew the facility's layout, controlled the lighting and environmental systems, and had positioned their captives as human shields in critical locations. Within 20 minutes, 12 more NATO operators were casualties. Lieutenant Colonel Thompson, wounded by shrapnel from a defensive grenade, found himself commanding just 4 surviving operators against 30-plus Russian commandos who had turned the facility into an impregnable fortress. 06:50 hours. Faced with the complete failure of the rescue mission, Lieutenant Colonel Thompson made the most difficult decision in special operations: order a withdrawal to prevent total annihilation of his remaining forces. The 4 surviving NATO operators began a fighting retreat across the Arctic landscape, pursued by Russian forces who had achieved complete tactical victory. The AC-130J gunship provided covering fire, but Russian air defenses forced the aircraft to maintain distance that limited its effectiveness. Of the 48 elite Special Operations personnel who had launched Operation Arctic Rescue, only 4 survived to reach the emergency extraction point 12 kilometers from Station Polaris. The human cost was staggering. 44 of NATO's most experienced operators killed in action, representing decades of training and millions of dollars in investment. The financial cost was equally devastating. 2 MV-22 Osprey aircraft worth $144 million destroyed, specialized equipment worth $2.3 million lost, and the ongoing operational costs of the failed mission exceeded $47 million. But the strategic cost was incalculable. Station Polaris remained in Russian hands. Its $3.2 billion worth of intelligence equipment and classified information now available to Moscow's intelligence services. March 19, 2025, 1200 hours. Russian forces completed their intelligence gathering operation and withdrew from Station Polaris, taking with them terabytes of NATO's most sensitive Arctic intelligence. The 47 NATO personnel were released unharmed at the Russian consulate in Murmansk, but the damage to Alliance intelligence capabilities was irreversible. Emergency sessions convened in Washington, London, Oslo, and Ottawa as the full scope of the disaster became clear. NATO had suffered its worst special operations defeat since the organization's formation, losing elite personnel and critical intelligence in a single catastrophic mission. The political consequences were immediate. Defense ministers from all four contributing nations faced parliamentary inquiries about the mission's planning and execution. Questions arose about intelligence failures, tactical decisions, and the adequacy of Arctic warfare training. For the families of the 44 operators killed in Operation Arctic Rescue, the mission represented the ultimate sacrifice in service of alliance security. Their loss highlighted the human cost of great power competition in the world's most hostile environments. The strategic implications extended far beyond the immediate tactical defeat. Russia had demonstrated its ability to project power into NATO territory and successfully defend captured positions against the alliance's most elite forces. The capture of Station Polaris and the failure of Operation Arctic Rescue marked a turning point in Arctic security dynamics. Russia had proven that NATO's northern flank was vulnerable to determined special operations attacks, while the alliance's response had revealed critical weaknesses in Arctic warfare capabilities. Intelligence analysis revealed that Russian success stemmed from superior preparation, better equipment for Arctic conditions, and tactical advantages gained through months of surveillance and planning. NATO's failure resulted from underestimating Russian capabilities, inadequate intelligence on defensive preparations, and tactical decisions that played to enemy strengths. The mission's failure led to comprehensive reviews of NATO's Arctic strategy, special operations doctrine, and intelligence security procedures. New investments in Arctic warfare training, equipment, and defensive capabilities would follow. But the damage to alliance prestige and intelligence capabilities could never be fully repaired. The rescue mission that cost everything served as a stark reminder that in modern warfare, even the most elite forces can be defeated by superior preparation, tactical advantage, and the unforgiving environment of the Arctic battlefield. If you found this analysis compelling, don't forget to subscribe for more in-depth military coverage. Like this video to support the channel and share it so more people can understand the truth behind the headlines. The Arctic has become the new frontier of great power competition, and the stakes have never been higher.